Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be checking out my updated, or you could say the second winter 2021 to 2022 forecast. And you guys might have read the title. There is some big changes on this forecast, unfortunately. But before we get to the forecast, we're going to kind of check out the factors, the ENSO, some of the teleconnections, the models, and also AQ weather's forecast as well, which was recently. Well, it's not really recent, but their forecasts were released several weeks ago. But we're going to first get started with talking about the ENSO here. And the climate predictor has recently issued a La Nina advisory. So there's now a La Nina currently ongoing here. And so we kind of go down the PowerPoint here. So here's your Nino regions. And so far, Nino 4, it's kind of warmed up just a little bit here, but Nino 3.4 and also Nino 3 has been cooling down, and same way with Nino 1 plus 2. So we're still got a cooling trend going on here. As we kind of continue down here. Now this is below kind of the sea surface, so this is going underwater here. And by the latest look here, it's been getting colder. You can see here going all the way back to August 21st, it was cold, and you kind of go by over the couple weeks, or look over the last couple weeks, it's been getting colder. So that's definitely an indication that a La Nina is certainly developing here, and we are also getting close to becoming a La Nina. If you even check out some of these winds out here, and these winds here, they are a little bit on the stronger side of things, and that's keeping things cooling down here, and that's keeping the Enso region on the cooler side of things. So that's also another thing that's going on there. As we kind of continue down here, um, here's the forecast here for the Climate Prediction Center, and for the last video here, they had, I believe, a 60 to 70% chance of a La Nina during the winter. Now we're up to a 80 to 90% chance. So seems like La Nina is very likely to develop um, during the winter here. It even could even go on maybe into early parts of spring as well. So that'll be interesting as well. Here's the weather model thoughts, and kind of the mean here kind of goes down to possibly as low as just below the zero point 0.5 degrees Celsius below normal line, and that could indicate as a weak La Nina, and I think that we could see a weak La Nina this winter here. I think the chances for a neutral phase is kind of the lower end of the scale. Here's CFS V2, and typically the CFS V2 is too strong when it comes to La Ninas. And I remember the car predictor saying that last winter, and I think that's going to continue to do so this winter as well. So, yeah, on that. And I don't think there's anything else on here to talk about, but let's kind of talk about what a typical La Nina, what typically happens. Well, this is what a map looks like here during a typical La Nina. So, really, generally across the south here, it's usually dry and warm. Then when you look into parts of the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley, it's wet. It's also wet across parts of Northern California, Oregon, and Washington. It's also on the cooler side of things across parts from the Northwest down to parts of the plains as well. So that's pretty much your typical La Nina pattern. But keep in mind, every La Nina is different. It's not going to look the exact same as your typical La Nina because there is other factors out there that can certainly change up the pattern as well, which that's something we're getting ready to talk about. So here's your current sea surface temperatures, and one of the big changers here for the winter forecast is the Gulf of Alaska. And uh, since the last update here, it's been getting colder, and it's been getting colder ever since, and that's definitely not a good sign because typically this is also known as the PDO, and unfortunately, typically during a negative PDO pattern, the western United States typically gets the troughs and also the cold and the snowier conditions, and even into parts of the northern plains as well at times as well. But across the south and the east, it's typically a warmer pattern, and there are times where one factor could be the dominant factor, which there is a chance that this here may become the dominant factor, even though all the other factors trend towards a cold and snowy winter for the eastern United States. There could be that one factor out there that could be the opposite direction, but that can also become the dominant factor here as well. So it's definitely something to watch here. If you compare it to last winter here, this was back in November 20th of 2020 here, looking back to my last video. You do see here with that PDO, it was actually almost a positive PDO or a positive PNA. And it was also a strong La Nina as well. And if you guys remember last winter, it was cold and snowy across the eastern United States. And when we look into it now, it's actually the opposite. And when you kind of think about it here, this upcoming winter may be a warmer winter for the eastern United States, and it may not be as snowy as last winter. So it's definitely something we need to pay attention to very closely here. But if you guys want a cold and snowy winter across the eastern United States, you better hope this here warms up, because that could certainly ruin a lot of people's winter. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that you guys won't see any cold or snow or whatsoever. I still believe there will be some cold snaps across the eastern United States, which may bring some snow along with it. But I think compared to average, I think it's just going to be below normal this winter here, at least for snow, and temperatures will probably be on the warmer side of things as well. But it's definitely looking like that the eastern United States may see a warm winter this year. You also do have this warm blob here as well of above normal temperatures. You also do notice here the Gulf of Mexico and along the East Coast is also very warm as well, which especially along the East Coastline here in the Gulf of Mexico, that could make things turn a little bit warmer for some of those areas as well. So that's something we need to watch for as well. But then again, this is a very favorable pattern here for the Western United States here to get a lot of active systems here, especially with very warm sea surface temperatures out here. That could act as an atmospheric river here. And parts of the northwestern United States could see tons of rain and also snow as well, which we're already forecasting a lot of rain and snow later this week here for some of those areas as well. And that could certainly continue into the winter as well. But hopefully we could see some breaks here and there. But I don't think it'd be a very persistent pattern with that as well. I think we could see a couple pattern changes here and there throughout the winter, but I think we're going to see more troughs in the west and more ridges in the east than ridges in the west and troughs in the east. So, that. Let's check out the Kansas model. I don't really want to check out the CFS model in this update here, because wherever I looked at it, I'm like, that's not a very accurate picture. But the Kansas model kind of has a similar idea here. So let's check out the Kansas model. Plus, it only updates once a month. Meanwhile, the CFS model updates like twice a day. So the CFS model doesn't have a whole lot of skill. But I do think the latest Kansas model update does have some skill. And so far for October, it's done a really good job here. It's got some of those troughs across the west. It's also got that big ridge up in eastern Canada, which is certainly what's been happening here, and that led to well above normal temperatures across parts of the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. So it's been pretty accurate so far. And when you check out for November, then we start to see a pattern change here, and across parts of the central eastern United States, we can see a trough here. Then again, like I said, I don't think it's going to be a very persistent pattern here. So just to keep in mind of that. And also some bridging across the west as well. And then you should move on to December. We're kind of going back to that similar pattern here. Troughing in the west, ridging in the northeast here. If you move on to January, ridging across the southeast, troughing across parts of the northwest in the northern plains and the upper Midwest. If you move on to February, ridging across the east and southeast, troughing across the northwest. So I feel like there will be some pattern changes here or there. Then again, this may change here, but then again, I think this is kind of an accurate picture here for the Kansas model here. But, it may change here on the next update, which will be at the end of this month here. Sometime around Halloween it will update. Um, but then again, I think this is a pretty accurate picture here. And if we check out for temperatures here, here's February here. It's warm for mostly everybody. I think it's kind of a little too warm. These models here do have a bias of being a little too warm. But if you check out for January here, this is a very interesting setup here. Below normal temperatures across parts of the northern plains, upper Midwest. Could be close to well below normal across parts of the northwest as well. You kind of go back to December, it's below normal still for areas kind of along the west coast there. It's also warm across the east. Checking out for November, you see here, it could be cool across the central United States here. It could be warm across parts of the west and the eastern United States as well. But then again, now keep in mind for November, the Kansas model is not the only model showing that. We actually do have multiple models showing this solution as well. So the CFS model is kind of the only one that disagrees at this point. But we'll see what happens with the CFS model there. But I think it's a pretty decently accurate picture here. And the Kansas model do have some support from other models as well. If we check out the temperature forecast from several other models out there, you do see here you do see a very common thing here. Most of the situated Eastern United States is kind of the warmer side. Now, I do think it's a little bit too warm on a lot of these models here, but I do think that these two models right here, having a box here, I think those are the most accurate models as of right now. They're not too warm, and they also show some more colder air across parts of the western United States, which I think that's a decently accurate picture there as well. And then you kind of check out the probability forecast. This is kind of like the Cloud Prediction Center's outlook here a little bit, but this is kind of your probabilities here. And you do see here, it does have a good chance of above normal temperatures areas in the orange here. At least a 60% chance of seeing above normal temperatures. And then there's a pretty high chance for above normal temperatures across parts of the Southern Plains and Dixie Alley as well. And it doesn't have any areas of below normal temperatures, which is very interesting as well. But then again, I think it's a little bit overdone with the warmth. I think things will look colder across parts of the northern plains and also parts of the west as well. And here's precipitation from that same model, and it's also a decently accurate picture here, but I think some of those weather to normal conditions may sneak into more into northern California and northern Nevada as well. But overall, this is a pretty decently accurate picture here. It's also kind of a typical La Nina pattern. It's wet across the northwest. It's also wet really across parts of the Midwest and Great Lakes. But then again, I think that's a pretty accurate picture here for precipitation there as well. And also, speaking of precipitation, I forgot to show precipitation for the Kansas model. Here's November here with that pattern change. It seems decently accurate to me. December, maybe a little bit too dry for California, but then again, it's a decently accurate picture. I think it's too dry across the west for January. It's also wet weather across parts of the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley as well. Very typical La Nina pattern there. And then for February, things turn wetter again for the northwest, and it's also dry across parts of the south and east. So a decent, accurate picture there from the Kansas model for precipitation. Let's actually check this out first here. So this has been weather.com. It's public for everybody. And what this is here is a blend of models here. So pretty much the majority of the long range models putting it into an average here. And this is for the snowfall. So it includes the European model, the UK Met, and some of the other ones as well. And let's kind of check this out here. So this is for November here, and this is already kind of accurate here. Below normal snowfall across parts of the Rockies there, across parts of Montana, and also Wyoming as well, with that chance there. And then again, this is an average of all of these models here. For December, very interesting outlook there. Uh, Going well below normal across the Rockies, which honestly I have some disagreements with that. But it seems like everywhere else is kind of accurate as well. I don't think it's not that accurate across the West. Very interesting outlook for January here. I think this is kind of showing a very warm picture here. I think this is what's kind of showing here, but it's also closer to average across parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee. So that's also very interesting as well with average snowfall across those regions. Meanwhile, everywhere else, it's kind of below normal. But also, I do warn you guys here that these models here do not have a whole lot of accuracy when it comes to snowfalls. So just to keep in mind of that. But February seems pretty accurate in my opinion here. The Rockies above normal with snowfall, even across parts of the northern plains and the upper Midwest as well, with above normal snowfall as well. It's also slightly above normal across the higher elevations in Pennsylvania, New York, and also Vermont as well. So that's a very interesting outlook there as well. And here's March. Things turn very snowy for the Northwest, and if this is correct, this could lead to a decent period of some severe weather. But then again, it's pretty far out, so it's likely going to change. But then again, these models here don't have a lot of skill when it comes to snowfall forecasts. They do not have a whole lot of skill. This was just updated today from the Climate Prediction Center, so let's kind of check out their forecast here. And this is for the so here's their updated temperature forecast here, and you do see here it's pretty warm. I think they're a little too warm for the desert Southwest, but everywhere else seems pretty good in my opinion here. You do see here there's at least a 60% chance of above normal temperatures from parts of the four quarter states all the way to going up along the east coastline. So pretty decent probability of seeing above normal temperatures across those regions as well. Across parts of Oregon and Washington has a chance of below normal temperatures as well, which is also interesting as well. But overall, I do agree with the forecast there. And then you check out for precipitation here. It's wetter across the Northwest. It's also wetter across parts of the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley region as well, and even for the interior Northeast. It's below normal across parts of the desert Southwest and also for the Southeast as well. Not a bad forecast, but then again, I think things will turn a little bit more wetter and also cooler for parts of California and Nevada. Meanwhile, for Arizona and New Mexico, I think you guys will turn a little bit drier this winter as well, which you guys will see in my forecast in a little bit. But overall, this is not a bad forecast for the Climate Prediction Center here as well, in my opinion. Here's the AQ weather's forecast here. I know this is hard to read with these two here. I actually cannot remember what they say here. I think it's something had to do with dry and warm. I'm not completely sure. But anyways here's our winter forecast. And honestly, this is a very, very plain outlook here, in my opinion here. It just seems like, I mean, this kind of happens about every winter here. Some of these scenarios do. And honestly, in my opinion here, it's kind of a very plain outlook here. But you do see here the Northwest, rain and mountain snow, the Rockies, heavy snow at times, periods of cold and snow across parts of the northern plains, uh, Midwest, the Great Lakes, up to parts of the Northeast, rain and snow for the higher elevations in Virginia, West Virginia, and up into New Jersey, and another area for parts of the Rocky Mountains of New Mexico and Colorado. Wet periods across parts of the Tennessee Valley and the Lower Ohio Valley, mainly dry in southern Texas. And I think it's supposed to say warm or dry for those two yellow areas, the desert Southwest and the Southeast as well. So then again, it's a very plain forecast, but you guys will be the judge on this forecast here as well. But in my opinion here, I think it's just a very plain forecast here as well. I've seen a lot of complaints about that on Twitter, about this forecast here. And by the way, this was released back in September 15th as well. Alrighty, so let's check out my forecast here. And then again, like I said, big changes. And you can see here, I've made things pretty warm for the east here. And we'll go from west to east on this one here, and you can see across the northwest here, talk about below average temperatures here, but then again, I'm kind of going by confidence here. I do have pretty good confidence of putting below average temperatures across parts of Washington, Oregon, and even to parts of Idaho as well. Meanwhile, for surrounding those areas will be slightly below average temperatures, which does include most of Oregon, Idaho, western Montana, northwestern Wyoming, far northwestern Utah, northern Nevada, and also for northern California as well, with those slightly below average temperatures. For areas that it's not highlighted, that's just be average here. For areas that then again it's not highlighting any other color. So basically it's just going off by your average temperatures in those regions as well, which includes the northern and central plains and then the Midwest as well. Then areas in the yellow here, that's slightly above average temperatures, which includes parts of the Southern Plains, even going up to parts of the Tennessee Valley, the Ohio Valley, and also the interior Northeast as well. We also do have an area of above normal temperatures, kind of going along the East Coast and then going down along the Gulf Coast as well. This negative PDO could certainly look something like this as well. But then again, for areas across the east here, doesn't necessarily mean that you guys won't see any cold temperatures. There will be some cold snaps during the winter here. I just cannot say when it will exactly what happened or anything like that, but I'm sure there will be some cold snaps here and probably a couple quick pattern changes as well. That typically happens during the winter as well. It's pretty rare to see this happen in a very persistent pattern. That's kind of a rare occurrence for that to happen as well. Let's check out precipitation here and across the northwest here, Northern California, parts of Oregon and Washington, above normal precipitation, and some of the adjacent states will be slightly above average with precipitation. And then again, areas that are not highlighted, basically your typical average here for precipitation. And he also got another area of slightly above average precipitation, really anywhere from parts of the Tennessee Valley, well, actually the lower Ohio Valley, up into parts of the Great Lakes region as well. With some of these low pressure systems here. Now, I do think this is going to be a very common pattern here. We'll have these big lows that will move on shore here across parts of the western United States. They'll bring in a lot of rain and also quite a bit of snow as well. Go for the Rockies here. Maybe come out somewhere in Wyoming or Colorado. Then it starts to deepen here. We may see a couple rapidly deepening lows here that could bring in a lot of this moisture here from the Gulf of Mexico here. And with a lift mechanism, which could be a cold front or a warm front, you guys can see some showers of thunderstorm activity across those regions there. And there may be that opportunity for some severe weather as well. And there might be times where your low may be up to parts of the Midwest here with a trailing front. Another low may develop along that front as well and may go up along that front. It could possibly bring quite a bit of snow on the backside as well. And then meanwhile in the warm sector, could be some severe weather issues as well. So I think that would be a pretty common pattern for winter as well. We'll see systems like that. Pretty similar to what we have going on in October as of right now. I think some things will probably go very similar to what's going on right now in October. Here's the snowfall forecast, and I think the areas that will see a lot of snow will be in those higher elevations across the northwest here, the higher elevations in Northern California, Oregon, and Washington, and then the Rocky Mountains across parts of Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, and parts of Colorado as well. And again, I think those are the areas that could see quite a bit of snow this winter here. You are in those higher elevations here. With multiple systems coming on shore, they'll have quite a bit of moisture with it, and that could definitely lead to quite a bit of snow in those higher elevations as well. Meanwhile, in the lower elevations, could be slightly above average with snowfall, and there will definitely be some snowy periods across some of those regions as well. And then as you kind of move to parts of the northern plains, the upper Midwest, there could be some winter storms up there as well. And with some of those multiple winter storms, you guys could see slightly above average snowfall as well. Then again, areas that are not highlighted, that'll be closer to average. And then as you move on to the east here, we could be talking about slightly below average with snowfall as well, really anywhere from the Appalachian Mountains. Well, generally the Appalachian Mountains across parts of the southeast, all the way up to parts of the New England states as well. But then again, this does not mean you guys won't see any snow. It just goes off by the average. Like for example here, your average snowfall is 40 inches. Well, what's slightly below average snowfall, it could be 35 inches of snow. So then again, it's just kind of go off by the average. So just to keep in mind of that as well. Here's the overall forecast here. We'll go from west to east. So areas in the white here, mainly in the higher elevations, it'll be very snowy. I think we could definitely see some above average snowfall in those higher elevations. And then in lower elevations in that dark blue, uh, wet with some snow periods as well. I think some of these places could certainly see some snow, especially in those higher elevations as well. But in the lower elevations, it may be on the wetter side of things, but you guys could still see some snow down there as well. Then areas in the yellow here, I think we can generally see some pleasant weather here across those regions. Uh, I couldn't really figure out what to name that area, so I just put it pleasant. Since a lot of stuff could happen here, I probably could have just put a flip-flop pattern, maybe some warm periods and colder periods. That's probably what I should have put down. Let me do that real quick. I think I'm going to put that area as flip-flop very quick here instead of pleasant. So there will be times where you'll have warmer periods, and there will probably be times where you have colder periods as well. So that's kind of a flip-flop type of pattern there as well. Then across the south here, it'll be mild and dry as well. But there could be some cold snaps for some of these areas as well, and then there may be some wet periods. But overall, for a 3-month average, I think it's generally going to be mild and dry. Then across parts of the central and northern plains and the upper Midwest, cold, and there will be some winter storms as well. Like I said earlier in the video here, I think the most common pattern here, these lows come into the northwestern United States. Then when they kind of get into the plains here, they will start to intensify here, and they could bring in some snow in the cold sector of these lows as well. So there could certainly be some winter storms across those regions as well. And then as we kind of move on to the pink area, winter battle zone. So you guys may see a mix of sleet, snow, and ice, or like I say, freezing rain, and there'll be some rain as well. So it'll be kind of battling out across those regions as well. So you guys can see some mixed precipitation across those regions as well, which this does include eastern Colorado into parts of Kansas, Nebraska, northern Missouri, southeastern Iowa, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, even into parts of Michigan as well. And in the areas in the dark purple, that's where we'll have some below normal lake effect snow. Not for the entire Great Lakes. I think areas across parts of upper Michigan here and northern Wisconsin could see closer to average with lake effect snow. But generally here, I think most areas in the Great Lakes here will see below normal lake effect snow this season. And in areas in the red here, stormy with some severe weather periods. Then again, with some of those rapidly intensifying lows, you guys could see some severe weather. I don't think it won't be happening for every system, but there may be some severe weather periods with a couple of those systems as well. So just to keep in mind of that. And then as you move on to the northeast, I should say, chilly with some snow here. Compared to average with slightly above normal temperatures or above normal temperatures, it'll still be on the chilly side of things. And there will certainly be some snow across all those regions as well. Then again, below average snowfall doesn't exactly mean you guys won't see any snow. So I went ahead and put in there. I think you guys could still see some snow this winter here. I don't think it just won't be as much as compared to average. So that's pretty much the secondary winter forecast here. I will have another forecast come out possibly sometime in mid to late November, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, put in the comment section down below. I answer you guys questions, and I see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.